Earlier this week, Bleacher Report put out this article that was about the definitive list of MLB players that should be considered superstars in 2024. And I think this is a super interesting topic. I feel like this is a big discussion across every sports league in the NFL and the NBA. But with the MLB, it's always been a little more interesting to me. I think the things that we use to define someone as a superstar athlete is a little bit harder in MLB because for years, you always hear the people that say like, oh, Mike Trout can walk around and no one would recognize him and he's arguably, the greatest baseball player of his generation. And there's this lack of recognition, I think, that is the perception, at least for a lot of baseball fans and for a lot of media members and things. Like, obviously people are going to know who they are if you watch every day. So I always thought this was a really interesting discussion when it pertained to baseball players in particular, because I think that what people consider a superstar is so subjective that it's hard to sit back and really truly say who is or who isn't a superstar. So I saw this and was like, I definitely want to talk about this. So here is the list, and it says here, it was written by Joel Reuter, and it says here 15 players who check all the boxes to be considered a superstar. That includes on-field performance, major market exposure, marketability, highlight reel skills. And then there's also players who missed the cut and players on the cusp who aren't quite there yet to be considered superstars. I don't think this is in any order. I just wanted to run through this and kind of talk about each one and then really see what you guys were feeling, who you thought was a superstar, who you consider the superstar players, and if you kind of have the same criteria, I guess, when it comes to who you would consider a superstar and what makes a superstar versus a star. All right, first up, I don't think there's any debate here. Ronald Acuna Jr. for the Atlanta Braves. Historic season last year, coming into this season with all of the buzz and hype. He's got the style, he's got the skill, he is an offensive powerhouse, he is stealing bases at an unprecedented clip, and he's only 26 years old. So I think this one's pretty clear, pretty cut and dry. There's no real arguing here. The Atlanta Braves, one of the best teams in baseball consistently. I don't know how they seem to just always make it work, but they always make it work. I think he is undeniably a superstar for sure. Jose Altuve for the Houston Astros. Now, I'm wearing a Dodgers hat right now. I'm a Dodger fan. I do not like Jose Altuve. This is I'll admit that he's a great player, but I personally do not like him. But I see what they're saying, but I don't know about this one because I don't know what the perception is of Altuve outside of Houston and like the Texas area. I'm sure in the area he's a huge superstar. And I'm sure with fans in the area, and just fans across the world, he is a superstar. But I'm really curious to see what that breakdown looks like because the Astros are obviously super talented. They continue to be unbelievably successful, but they have that cloud hanging over them. Even though a lot of their players that were involved in that scandal are gone, they still have that cloud hanging over them. And in a way, Altuve is one of the faces of that, even though everyone swears that he was not involved to where he benefited specifically. So obviously that's a little bit old. I don't mean to be bringing up old news when it comes to this, but I'm really curious. This is an interesting one because I don't know what would make him. So for better or worse, the sign-stealing scandal only increased his profile and he remains one of the best players. That's true. I don't know, does that make him superstar or does that make him, notorious or infamous or something? I don't know. I would say, I guess I would have to recuse myself on this one, but I'd be very curious to hear what other teams' fans think. And, if you think he is a superstar player or if you cannot look past the scandal and everything involved. Mookie Betts, I mean, come on. MLB player with a podcast. He's a superstar. He plays basically every position on the field. Going to be giving shortstop a try here this season, which I don't know what's going to happen, but he's such a talented athlete and such a charismatic person that it would not surprise me at all if he excels at it. I mean, who knows? It could go any way. You could tell me anything, and I would probably believe it when it comes to him this season at short. I do think that he fits as a superstar because in the LA area, he's got a ton of recognition. I think he's a great ambassador for baseball, and I think that combined with the talent on the field, I think enough people would know the name if you said it. I don't know if, if he's getting stopped on the street as consistently as, some other players might be, or even athletes in other sports. But I think when it comes to, who are the faces of baseball, who are the tip top of the mountain players, I think Mookie is definitely right there. Garrett Cole, the New York Yankees, okay, and he is the only pitcher on the list. Interesting. So this is obviously interesting timing too, because he just had it announced that he was going to miss, I think it was 11 to 12 weeks to try to avoid surgery with some discomfort and pain in his arm. He's trying to avoid, obviously, season-ending surgery, year-and-a-half ending surgery, I guess, technically, if you really want to think about it. But, I can see why he's here, but I don't know. Maybe I've just got the Clayton Kershaw goggles on, that, like, he is the pitcher I think of all the time. I think this might be a New York bonus thing, where he gets the bonus of playing for the Yankees. He is obviously very consistent, reigning Cy Young winner. I see the argument. I see the reasoning behind it for sure. Freddie Freeman, LA Dodgers, definitely. I think same things really almost apply as with Mookie Betts. I think Freddie Freeman is one of the most talented on the field players, and then off the field, he looks like an absolute superhero. He's got those beaming white teeth. He's got his son in all of his social media posts at the field. It is just adorable stuff. And he's a great ambassador for the game. I think his success and his affability, and I think, honestly, even too, his departure from the Braves probably really endeared him to a lot of people. Because it was clear he was a little devastated about leaving and moving on. Even though he's made himself at home in LA and he seems to get along great with all of his teammates, there's no denying it was a bit of an uncomfortable split. But I think that just went to not only, endear him to people, but to kind of put his talent even on more display in the LA area with, another prominent team like the Dodgers. I don't know how people wouldn't have seen how good he was with the Braves, but you never know. Vlad Guerrero Jr., Toronto Blue Jays, the MLB The Show 24 cover athlete. I think he is definitely the first one outside of Altuve or Garrett Cole, where it's like, I don't know how many casual fans or non-fans would recognize the name, maybe outside of the Toronto area, but I think there's no denying that he is a superstar. He is a home run hitting machine, and on top of all that, he is a very jovial personality, and I think that goes a long way. That type of like new school gregarious personality in baseball, I think is going to be something that is going to be a huge part of getting new fans to the game. Bryce Harper, okay. See, these are just like the big, like, I understand. Like, you see the names and you're like, superstar. Bryce Harper, superstar. The man is unbelievable. He's got some of the best hair in the game. Not that that matters, but he has been incredible. And he's been so good for the Phillies since he got there. And he has been pretty clutch. He's been part of some of those big postseason moments. I think at some point they will hit that next level of success. And it will kind of cement him as a baseball all-timer and as a Philadelphia all-timer and legend, if you will. He's only 31 years old. I think he's got a lot of his best days ahead of him, and he's moving to first base full-time. Aaron Judge, New York Yankees, of course, absolutely undeniable. One of the stars, a home run hitting machine, just a super marketable personality and player. Yes, he's in New York. I'm sure a lot of fans that don't like the Yankees probably are like, whatever, but you kind of can't deny his electricity, his charisma. When he was going for the home runs record for the Yankees for a season, or AL single season, sorry, like they were cutting into his games. Like this was like the McGuire, Sosa, Barry Bonds home run time. Like it was like that all over again. Francisco Lindor, New York Mets. This is interesting. I'm not gonna sit here and say like no superstar, any of that. I'm not gonna demote anybody, but I'd be curious to see what the consensus is about Lindor, because I think he's one of the best shortstops in the game. I think it's been a bummer to not have him in Cleveland. I do enjoy watching the Guardians. I have a lot of family in the area, so I love watching the Guardians when I can. it feels like this is something where like the team's success will start to be held against him. And if they keep having these bad seasons, or if they continue on this path with this rebuild that they seem to be kind of flirting with after the Edwin Diaz injury last year, and then trading away Verlander and Scherzer, I'd be really curious to see what they're going to do, because I don't know if they just hang on to him and just ride it out with him this whole time, or if they trade him somewhere and be like, hey, our timelines are just too different now. But there's no denying I think, is one of the best shortstops in the game, and I think he is one of the best personalities as well. Manny Machado, Padres, interesting. Again, player I don't necessarily love, but I can see exactly what they see when they say superstar player. He is super consistent. He has seemingly matured a ton in San Diego. He became the leader of that team throughout all of the scandal with Fernando Tatis, and then the uncertainty with Juan Soto. All of the turnover on the Padres roster has been, well documented, but he has been a very steadying force throughout it. And I think that's a big sign of growth and maturity. Shohei Ohtani, obviously. I think it's interesting because I think Shohei might be one of, or the most recognizable baseball player right now. And it feels like, not like it's by design, but it feels like in just the few months that he has been a Dodger, we have learned so much more about him, and that he's been way more outgoing with the media, way more open with the media. Like he announced his wife on the flight to Korea this past week. Like, he is just sharing a lot more, and I don't know if that's by design, going from the Angels to the Dodgers. One of the most recognizable, one of the most popular players already. I think his star is only going to get bigger, especially if he comes in and has huge success at the plate. Corey Seager, reigning World Series MVP, I think is a no-brainer too. Hurts every day that the Dodgers let him go. He is so good. He is so smooth, and he is just only getting better. Now, obviously, injuries will always pop up, and they're probably always going to be a concern with him. But as long as he can get to the postseason, he is going to be one of the clutchest performers. And at a time when more people are watching baseball, of course, in the playoffs, it's the perfect showcase for him and all of his abilities. So I don't think there's any denying his star power, even if he is like one of the most understated, like low-key people that I can think of when it comes to baseball. Juan Soto, New York Yankees, the new Yankees player. Who knows what's going to happen with his contract, but Juan Soto in pinstripes makes a lot of sense. It looks pretty good. I think he's going to have an unbelievable season here. I think he's going to be trying to get that bag, because I think the Yankees, they're the Yankees. They need those big top tier players. Soto, 25 years, looking for that huge deal. It would not surprise me at all if the Yankees lock him in, because he is the type of young breakout player that can quickly go from like, yeah, he's a really good player, to like he's everywhere, especially if he comes out and hits 30 plus home runs for the Yankees this year. Interesting. Fernando Tatis is here. Interesting. He just served an 80-game suspension in 2022 and 2023. I don't know. Did Manny Machado take his superstar spot? Because he's only 25. He's super young and he's super talented. But like, again, this kind of goes back to the Altuve thing too. I don't know how forgiving fans of other teams are. Like, I know how I feel, and I know how Dodger fans feel, because that's what I see the most of in terms of, like, social media and everything. I'd be really curious to hear what people think about Tatis, and, like, what the outside perception is, because he had the cover of MLB The Show already. He's obviously super dynamic. He is unbelievably talented at both sides of the plate. He is great. He's a great talent. No one is denying that. But if part of being a superstar is how you are perceived and what your marketability is, I don't know if he is going to be able to, like, withstand all of the scrutiny that comes with a suspension like that. I understand the youth and the athleticism and the dynamic skill really, makes it enticing, and especially, how popular he is with children. It does not surprise me at all that he is here, but I think I personally probably would drop him a little bit lower, where it said, just on the cusp, but not quite. Mike Trout, still, again, one of the best players in baseball. A lot of injuries the last few years have really hampered him down. But then we get to the World Baseball Classic last year. You get to Trout versus Ohtani, the 9th inning of the World Baseball Classic, game on the line, and it's like a no-brainer. Like, here we are. Here is the showdown we all wanted to see. Superstar versus superstar. Like, there's no doubting it. So even if injuries continue to kind of keep his availability limited, when he is on the field, he is must-see. No doubt stars, not quite superstar. Oh, why has it got to be J-Ram? I love J-Ram. So let's see who we got here. Pete Alonso, Bo Bichette, Corbin Burns, Carlos Correa, Rafael Devers, Matt Olson, Jose, Austin Riley, Blake Snell, and Trey Turner. That's an interesting group. I would probably say Jose and Austin Riley. And then honestly, too, depending on where Snell ends up signing, I think he could probably vault right up into the superstar category. I think all of these guys, though, maybe they're not as recognizable names as some of the other guys on this main list. Pete Alonso, I think, has a case, but young stars on the cusp. Let's see who we got. Corbin Carroll, Gunnar Henderson, Luis Robert Jr., Julio Rodriguez. Julio Rodriguez should be in the superstar category, I think. The moments that guy has already had in his career, I think he should probably, like, for the Seattle Home Run Derby alone, should probably be on that list. Maybe it's just too young. Okay, yeah, after 2 stellar seasons, he's might already more of the same. Yeah, I think, honestly, I would put him up there right now. Like, I would swap him in for Tatis right now. Adley Rutschman, another unbelievable all-star performance that kind of elevated his status. Spencer Strider, Bobby Witt Jr. It's interesting. Like, when I think of superstar, I don't know why, but I tend to think about young players, like younger players. So I think I would have an easier time putting most of these guys up into superstar status than I would even the last list that was like stars but not quite, like the little bit older players that aren't quite superstars. Like, this to me makes a lot more sense for superstar status. No longer superstars, but still stars. It's a bummer to see Jacob deGrom. So we had Nolan Arenado, Jacob deGrom, Paul Goldschmidt, Zach Greinke, Clayton Kershaw, Andrew McCutchen, Chris Sale, Scherzer, Giancarlo Stanton, Verlander, and Joey Votto. I think it's fan base by fan base. I think Cardinals fans probably think Nolan Arenado is still a superstar. I think Dodger fans probably think Clayton Kershaw is still a superstar. And I think you go all the way down the line and it would be just a team-by-team perception, except maybe Giancarlo Stanton with the New York Yankees. I think they would probably be quite okay with showing him the door at any time. But it's interesting. It's interesting to think how it feels like baseball is the league where it changes the most. Where, like, who is the superstar, who isn't, is the harder debate. I think that the superstars are typically the younger players because that is, the generation that's coming in. That's who everyone's going to see. That's who a lot of people are tuning in to watch, is to see how those players are going to grow and develop in the moment and how they rise to the moment. So that's probably the closest I can come to defining what I think about a superstar, and I think a lot of these players kind of also hit that criteria where, you hear, oh, Ronald Acuna's got 69 steals, he's going for the record tonight. Like, you want to see what's going to happen. Like, he's like that superstar level player that you want to see. So I don't know. I'm all this to say I'm very murky on how we define superstars. I think it's definitely always an interesting conversation, though, so please hit the comments. Let me know what you think. Let me know who you think on this list or outside of this list qualifies as a superstar, or who are your favorite superstars. Any of that, please let me know. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you.